Merhaba arkadaşlar. Umarım hepiniz iyisinizdir. Keyfiniz yerindedir. Sağlığınız da yerindedir. Ailelerinize de selamlarımı yolluyorum sizlerle. Şimdi bugünkü yüksek lisans konumuzda Irish modernizmi göreceğiz. 1880 ile 1930'lu yıllar. Tabii daha önceleri de anlattığım gibi İngiltere'ye biraz geç geliyor modernizm akımı. Geldiği vakitte 1910'lu yıllar o civarlar düşününüz. Geldiği vakitte doğal olarak İrlanda'da bundan nasibini alıyor. The un-Englishness of modernism. Modernism does not just refer to literature of a certain period of time, say 1890 or 1910 till 1940. The ism suggests it was a distinctive doctrine, or at least a distinctive practice. Yet it is best not to attempt a strict definition of the typical modernist work. No two writers wrote to one formula, though Ezra Pound, an impresario of the modern, tried to get many to do just that. Modernist works deploy devices or manifest traits that include the following. Pay attention. Perspectivalism, knowledge limited to the point of view of specific persons, the most radical form being stream of consciousness. B. Juxtapositions without copulas, the omission of transitional matter that would indicate grammatical, chronological, or logical relationships. C. Presentation of images or events without commentary or explanation. D. Style of presentation so radically in service of subject matter that, paradoxically, style becomes the subject of attention. E. Parody of popular literary styles and, by implication, mockery of the general readership that made such styles popular. F. Learned allusions to literary classics. G. Mythic parallels to contemporary life and demythologizing treatment of Christianity. H. A governing principle of art for art's sake. Bu çok önemli bir ifade ki bunu herhalde yüksek lisans derslerinizde anlatılmıştır bu size. Sanat sanat içindir anlamında. Self-conscious neglect of an utilitarian purpose for the work, such as to teach a moral or move the public to action. And finally, E. The manifestation of literary art in every sentence or line, as Joseph Conrad demanded of prose writers equally with poets. The phenomenon of works with such attributes has been assigned a history of causes and effects by literary historians. The beginnings are said to be a revolt against Victorian values. Bildiğiniz üzere gene roman derslerinizden en büyük özellik neydi? Modernistlerin Victoria döneminin o bağnaz, katı veya tutucu diyebileceğimiz, hatırlayın pek çok yazar, kadın yazar bilhassa erkek isimleriyle yazmıştı. Pseudonym diyebileceğimiz ifadeyi kullanmışlardı. Buna karşı çıkıyorlar. Yani bir revolt, böyle bir devrim gibi, ayak direme gibi bir şey yapmaya çalışıyorlar modernistler. And forms in the 1890s and a reaction to the accelerating modernization of society during the Edwardian period. The catastrophe of the First World War, it is claimed, made writers across Europe and North America struggle to find forms to represent this disillusion with and distaste for the present. Across the West, yani Amerika düşünün, across the West, new times required new forms. So, while Victorianism is a British phenomenon, Modernism, pay attention, is an international one. Bu çok önemli bizim için. Demek ki nasıl ki Victoria dönemi diyelim, period diyelim, bir fenomen olarak karşımıza çıkıyorsa, sadece İngiltere'ye kapsıyorsa, modernizm ise daha çok uluslararası bir üne sahip oluyor. Most English literary modernists were not English. Among the poets, Eliot and Pound were American and Yeats was Irish. Ki hatırlamaya çalışın gene şiir derslerinizden daha önceleri. 20. yüzyılda veya 20. yüzyılın başlarında diyelim İngiltere'de şairlerin azlığı gözümüze çarpıyor. Of the great novelists of the period, Henry James was American, Joseph Conrad was Polish, Ford Madox Ford was both German and English, George Moore and James Joyce both Irish, while Woolf and Lawrence are the only major modernist novelists who were English. Furthermore, the modernists were not writing solely out of the traditional English literature. They sought models. Model arıyorlar bakın. In other languages, Irish, Chinese, Italian, Russian, especially French, Gustave Flaubert, Émile Zola, Maupassant, were particularly influential pace setters. They also attended to the literary implications of the Paris art movement called modern painting or Impressionism. Subsequent 20th century art movements like Cubism, for example, inspired further literary equivalents as painting led and literature followed. Schopenhauer and Nietzsche, both pessimistic German philosophers with brilliant prose styles, enchanted Moore, Conrad, W.B. Yeats, Eliot, and to a lesser degree Joyce. For the most part, the Englishness of the English-born writers seems to have restrained them from following the example of German thinkers or French artists. Biraz bunlar geride kalıyor İngilizler. Whatever their discussed with Victorian conventions in manners, morals, and art. As a result, the great writers of early 20th century literature are not Edwardian or Georgian, as Browning and Tennyson, bunları görmüşsünüzdür herhalde, are Victorian. The great works of 20th century fiction in English are often not by English people or about English life as lived under English monarchs. Now we come George Moore and his modernism. If one removes from English literature for the period 1890 to 1930 the works of Irish writers Oscar Wilde, George Moore, W.B. Yeats, James Joyce, George Bernard Shaw, and Samuel Beckett, half the major achievements disappear. Is there a subcategory of international modernism, though that already is, that is identifiably Irish? This question would normally require a book-length answer. Çok ama çok cevap verilmesi gerekiyor bunlar için. But as this chapter concerns fiction alone, there are only two main cases to consider. Bunlardan bir tanesi George Moore, diğeri de James Joyce. And Joyce is dealt with separately in this volume. Ayrı olarak, son olarak göreceğiz gelecek haftaki dersimizde veya telafide. Irish modernism in fiction for other purposes comes down to George Moore. The fiction of Yeats, Wilde, Bram Stoker, Somerville, and Ross, and James Stephens exhibit one of two aspects of modernist style. Moore's novels have the full complement. Moore was the oldest son of a Catholic member of Parliament from Moore Hall, County Mayo. He spent his childhood partly at Moore Hall and partly at Brighton boarding school, with spells at a Kensington townhouse. Upon the sudden death of his father, Moore became at 18 the landlord of a vast estate with thousands of tenants in the impoverished west of Ireland, just then beginning its swift decline in land values, rents, and social stability. Moore, however, did not then return to Ireland at 21. He moved from London to Paris to become a painter. There he became the journey of a quintessential modernist author. Upper class and downwardly mobile with a gift for in ingratiation between 1873 and 1879, Moore became close acquainted with modern French writers and painters. He was lucky in a way. He knew Mallarmé, Zola, Degas, Manet, Pissarro, and Monet. At cafes, he participated in their arguments about the theory of modern art and how to represent the new urban, bourgeois, commodified, transformed world of Paris after the Commune. Moore became a hero worshipper of Baudelaire and Flaubert, the predecessor of modern French art. By the time the Irishland War cut off his income and forced his return from Paris in 1879, Moore was more thoroughly versed in contemporary European aestheticism than another English-speaking person. In 1881, he decided to become a novelist and introduce modern art, a stuffy and conventional English public. His first novel, A Modern Lover, bears in its title this intention. A story so entitled will not be the old thing once again, and it will be risk, as Victorian literature was not permitted to be. The story concerns a painter in London who entices one woman after another to be his lover and advance his career. Happily ever after is not how his marriage turns out. The background to the story is a struggle between the moderns, a group of painters sometimes like French Impressionists, at other times like English Pre-Raphaelites, and the traditionalists. The narrator is clearly on the side of the moderns.